Hey everyone, Pinoy X here once again, back with another video, and I think it's about time Capcom added in a new weapon type for the Monster Hunter series, especially with the upcoming 6th generation of Monster Hunter, which is currently titled as Monster Hunter 6. Now before we get started, we still have Monster Hunter Rise Sunbreak coming up for Monster Hunter Rise. However, at this point, expansions don't really add new weapon types in the Monster Hunter series as far as I'm aware, with Monster Hunter World Iceborne and now Monster Hunter Rise not adding any new weapon types from what we currently understand. Having said that though, new generations of Monster Hunter games would usually have new weapons, but because of the advanced changes that Monster Hunter World had for 5th generation, this is the only generation as of right now where no new weapon types have been introduced in any capacity. And with the verticality being added in Rise, I think it's pretty justified why they don't add any new weapon types in 5th generation as of right now. This is literally the experimentation stage of changing the entirety of Monster Hunter as a whole, outside of adding new weapons. With that said though, when it comes to new weapon types, I think Monster Hunter 6 would be the perfect time for Capcom to introduce any new weapon types within the series, especially when it comes to long-range weaponry, which we're gonna be focusing on in this video. Now, because of the fact that we already have plenty of melee weapons in the world of Monster Hunter, we're gonna be focusing solely on long-range weapons here. In this case, we're going to explore two ideas that Capcom can implement for future Monster Hunter games as long-range weapons. However, if you have your own ideas for long-range weapons for future Monster Hunter games, let us know in the comments below what your ideas are and how they would work in the world of Monster Hunter. The first idea we're going to explore here is one that Capcom technically implemented in Monster Hunter Rise already, but they didn't expand upon it by making it a weapon type. Instead, they added it in the item bar instead, and that is the idea of throwing knives, which took on the form of kunais in Monster Hunter Rise. Now, throwing knives as long-range weapons is definitely not far-fetched at this point, especially considering the fact that we've seen some people hunt down monsters in Rise purely using the kunais as their only weapon. So this is definitely a viable weapon type for long-range gameplay if Capcom implements it as a proper weapon type, not just a gimmick on the item bar. One of the key things some people might be asking is how the appearance of the weapon is gonna change depending on what kind of weapon we're wielding. Similar to what's happening with the collaboration with Street Fighter as well as that of the Ghosts and Goblins collaboration, if they change the weapon of the item, let's say you're wielding a Magnum Malo throwing knife, then the projectile is gonna change appearance as well. So this is definitely something Capcom can do. One of the key things I would like Capcom to incorporate here is aerial combat as well. And the main reason for this is simply because of the fact that when we play Rise as of right now and we start throwing knives in the air, it does look very stylistic, and it kind of reminds me of a long-range iteration of the insect glaive or the tonfas in the series. So a long-range aerial weapon could definitely be a far more interesting concept rather than just throwing it on the ground. So hopefully this is something that Capcom can look into for a future Monster Hunter title. Now, this next ranged weapon concept we're going to look into is very generic in my opinion because it's very widespread. However, at the same time, Capcom still hasn't incorporated it in Monster Hunter, and I'm not really quite sure as to why that is. If we can have dual blades in the Monster Hunter series, what's stopping us from having dual guns as well for long-range combat? That's right, I would actually like Capcom to incorporate dual guns for future Monster Hunter titles as a means of long-range combat. Now, the reason for this is mostly because they already played around with the idea back in Monster Hunter World, where they had the Devil May Cry collaboration with the Devil May Cry gesture, showcasing that dual guns can potentially work in the series, especially considering the fact that that gesture specifically did deal damage to monsters with dual pistols. So hopefully this is a weapon type that Capcom will explore in order to expand our category of long-range weaponry for future Monster Hunter games alongside throwing knives. Now, regarding gameplay, if there's one thing I would like Capcom to do here is make it somewhat similar to the dual blades, in that you will enter a specific mode in order for you to have rapid fire action, which is going to be the counterpart to rapid slashes that the dual blades can do. This would be at the cost of stamina rather than ammunition. However, at the same time, they can still incorporate ammunition very similar to the light and heavy bowgun in some capacity. So yeah, Those are two weapon types that I'm hoping Capcom will incorporate to future Monster Hunter games, some form of throwing knives and of course, dual guns. What do you think about these kinds of weapon types for future Monster Hunter titles? Let us know in the comments below your thoughts and opinions regarding throwing knives and dual guns as potential long-range weaponry in the Monster Hunter series. And once again, if you have any other ideas outside of these two for long-range combat, let us know in the comments below what your ideas are and how they would work in Monster Hunter. Now with all of that being said, if you enjoyed these videos, please consider hitting the like on the video itself and subscribing to the channel as well as hitting that bell icon so you can go ahead and catch up on any future Monster Hunter content that I might be doing or any other games that I might be playing in future. Until then, I hope you enjoyed this video. Thanks ever so much for watching and I'll see you next time. Onward and upward.